Hey folks, in this video I want to do something a little bit different. As you can see, I have an entire table full of some of the largest Hot Wheels and related brand playsets that are actually, pretty much all of these are garage type playsets that have ever been made, and some smaller ones, but literally these are some of the largest that have ever been released. And what I want to do in this video is just tell you kind of the story of how some of these came to be, because these are all fairly recent sets, and there hasn't been anything released like this prior to the release of the very first one, which is shown right here. This is the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage, and this basically started off a chain reaction of releasing different variations of an Ultimate Garage type set, whether it's from Hot Wheels or different brands. So I kind of want to tell the story of what happened with this, at least from my perspective as, the end consumer and a Hot Wheels and, die-cast car playset enthusiast that I am, watching these all be released right after the first one was released back in, I think it was around 2015. So, one by one, I'm going to kind of show you some of these different sets and just give you my perspective on what these all are and what they're all about, and just kind of the whole story of where this started out kind of in 2015-ish and where we are today. So, without any further introduction, let's get into the video. Okay, so let's get this story started with the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage, and this is the one that kind of started it all off, in my opinion. This was released in 2015, and I'm pretty sure, well, at least the copyright is 2015, but I'm pretty sure that's when it was in stores as well. But in any case, whether it was 2015 or 2016, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference at this point, because in either case it's basically the 10-year anniversary of this, which is crazy. I can't believe this set has been out that long. But I do have two of these that are brand new and factory sealed, and so just a quick backstory behind that is I did get the first version of the Ultimate Garage, which had different kind of style artwork a bit than what you see in these two. These are a little bit later releases, and I actually like the original artwork the best. And I should put a link in the description to that original video I made on this channel back in the day, showing that, unboxing and demonstration and that whole thing. That video did really well on my channel, and it was really a treat to make that video. And so I had that one originally. And I can't remember why that set specifically I had to get rid of, but it was probably, at the time I was moving pretty much like once per year, and I just didn't have a lot of places to store such large Hot Wheels sets. So I think that was probably the reason that I ended up getting rid of that one. But of course, this is like one of my favorite Hot Wheels sets of all time, so I couldn't just not have one. So I actually got this one here, probably a few years later. This one, I believe, was a Walmart exclusive, and I think that's where I got it. And the part of it that is exclusive is that this one came with the Super Spin Car Wash, which was a pretty infrequent find. This isn't a super common combination to find out there. I'm not sure which of these I'm going to open yet and keep. It probably will be this one, but I do have this one. The Super Spin Car Wash was just another car wash set. It was kind of a cool set, and it was released separately, so you could get this separately. It's not like this is the only place that you could get that car wash set, but it is kind of a unique combination to have it combined with the Ultimate Garage in one package here. And like I said, I think this was a Walmart exclusive. I don't think that it was anywhere else in the United States, and I believe that that's where I got this. Another slightly interesting thing of note of that is you can see on the top of the garage it's got this sticker here it's basically a P for parking, and then it's got some cars here. Well, on the original, it simply said Ultimate Garage in this kind of old school artwork. So this was the style of the original one that I got and opened up on this channel. So that original one that I got at Toys R Us back when they were still open, and it was $100. $100 was absolutely insane for a price of a Hot Wheels set. Like, at the time I was like, what, a $100 Hot Wheels set? Now, I was very willing to pay that, because this set was something that was just, it's never been done before. Like it says on the box here, the biggest Hot Wheels garage ever. Now, that is not true anymore, but at the time, nothing this large had ever been released. The only thing that maybe would come close would have been like the Hot Wheels World. Now I forget exactly I think it was called the Super Electronic Garage from the 90s. That would have been maybe the closest contender to this, but that was, even a little bit smaller, I think. The overall spatial area that it covered with all the track maybe would come close, but nevertheless, this one is definitely bigger, and at the time was the biggest and was something completely new, and really a cool idea, honestly. When I opened this up on the YouTube video I made, probably close to 10 years ago now, and I did delete the original video and then re-upload it later, so whatever video I have up now is less than 10 years old, but I did make the unboxing of it originally, very soon after it was originally released. I was just so excited about it because it's just an ultimate garage. And really, the other thing about the release of this is there had been, I don't know if I want to quite say a drought in garage type playsets, because they've always been around, but really, I don't think that Hot Wheels or Matchbox or anyone else, really for that matter, for many years, had really been focusing on these garage-type playsets. They had been focusing more on kind of the more monster-themed type action sets and things like that. The city sets were kind of off to the side a little bit. And I really think, kind of starting with this one, Hot Wheels started, at least with the play sets anyways, going through a new golden era of just really cool sets. I am still gonna assert that the Hot Wheels World sets and things like that from the 90s are still, in my opinion, the best, but I do have the nostalgia factor of being a 90s kid and growing up with those sets, and those were what I grew up with, so that is what I kind of naturally gravitate back towards as the golden standard. But nevertheless, some of the sets that they've been releasing these days, and more or less starting around when this one was released, just really cool sets, and at least to some degree going back to the roots of having at least semi-realistic-ish playset themes. The entire focus of this is not on some, scary, monster thing or something. Now, there is indeed a shark down here, so they couldn't quite get rid of having some sort of monster sort of thing going on. But the rest of it, this is all a parking garage and a little cityscape on the bottom. And on this side, which you can't see all the way, but you got a dual lane track that goes down to it's basically a gravity drop, which is cool. And there's just so many things going on with this, which are, at least to me, more reminiscent of some of the things that were released around the 90s, maybe early 2000s, and, a little bit closer to kind of realistic-ish track playsets. Not completely, of course, because it's kind of a very modern take on a garage. A parking garage set, but nevertheless it has those kind of themes, like you've got all these places to park your cars on different levels. There's no monsters to be seen or anything around here. It's just park your cars and enjoy having a nice place to display all of your cars. it's just so cool, and I really loved this original design of the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage. And like I said, in my opinion, this started something really great. So this one that I have here, like I said, I had to get rid of my original. I ended up getting this one at a Walmart, and then I wanted to get this one, which I actually got at a Kmart store. Of course, those are all closed now pretty much in 2025, but at least in the United States. So I got this one at a Kmart, and I got this one basically right before these started to be, discontinued. And I haven't, they haven't had this set in stores for many years now. It pretty much discontinued. I don't know if it'll ever come back. Maybe it could, but yeah. But anyways, I wanted to get one that doesn't have this car wash with it, just to have one or the other. So I've kept both of these in storage for a few years. I think I'm going to open up this one, but, well, that's a decision for another day. But what I want to do to kind of end this section of this set is just turn these both around and kind of show you what the actual set looks like, and just a little bit more detail on the back of the box. I really need to just show you only one of them because they're basically the exact same thing. So I'll show you this one. But like I kind of said, you kind of have a little action section over here. So it's not like they completely abandoned the themes that they were going with. You got this spiral ramp that goes all the way down. You got a little shark attack down at the bottom here. But it's a nice kind of little area where you have a little stunt thing going on. And then over here, the rest of it, you got a little cityscape on the bottom. 4 levels where you can store something like 40 cars. And, you can park cars in a few other places as well. Just awesome to be able to display that many cars. You got this gravity drop over here with a finish line flag. You got one little ramp over here. And then, yeah, just a few little things along the bottom. There's a lot going on with this set. It's huge and it's awesome. And at the time, absolutely, there was nothing comparable to this. This was the first of its kind. And like I said, for $100, most other Hot Wheels sets, the biggest ones would have been priced at maybe $50 or something like that. And that's still pretty common to have a set that's about $50, maybe $60. But at the time, yeah, those were the biggest ones, and they were, comparably smaller than this. Still large, but not nearly as big as this Ultimate Garage. So this really kicked off something. It kicked off 2 things. There's a little bit of ridiculousness to it that I'm going to show you because there are so many different variations of Ultimate Garages and offshoots from other brands that got released in the years to come after it, but also kind of a resurgence of garage-style playsets, both from Hot Wheels, from Matchbox, and other brands out there that I really think were heavily inspired by the fact that this one got released back in 2015, because everything that followed after that had at least something that could kind of, reference back to this this garage in one way or another. Whether it's literally physically having a spiral down ramp or something, or just the fact that it's a garage type set when there kind of sort of hadn't been a big focus on those in the die-cast cars. The Hot Wheels and the Matchbox and stuff for really several years after, say, the 90s Hot Wheels world. There was just more of a focus towards these kind of monster type sets and different things like that. Not that there weren't any garage type sets released in those years, but it just wasn't kind of a big focus. So, and now, even after this one was released, that's not to say there weren't a lot of these monster type action sets that were released, but there have been a lot more of these garage and semi-realistic-ish play sets. So that's a good look at the first that I would say started it all back in 2015 up until where we are now with these. The original Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage. So with that all said, let me show you what has come after. Okay, so now we get into the story of what came after the first Ultimate Garage, and Hot Wheels sure outdid themselves by releasing the Super Ultimate Garage, and this one is from 2017, and basically they took the original concept of the Ultimate Garage and made it even bigger. I can't remember the exact retail price on this, but I think it might have been close to $200. You know, it is that much bigger. It's it's huge, and this one was huge. This one's even bigger. So it has the new label, Hot Wheels biggest motorized garage ever. I don't know if that necessarily means that it's the biggest garage ever, because this one previously had that title, but I think that this one is definitely bigger than the original Ultimate Garage. So anyways, yeah, very, very large set. So distinctions that make this one different from this one. I mean, it's got this little kind of spinning elevator type thing instead of just a straight up and down one. But it retains a lot of similar things too. I mean, it's got a whole bunch of different levels you can park your cars, and they even have like a similar kind of round type design as the Ultimate Garage. So there's that. It's got a spiral ramp just like the original. In this case, they have like a raceway, and down at the bottom, the loser gets launched off, that sort of thing. And then some unique things about this one is that, like, some of the different levels have some different features. Like there's a little car wash, and then you can, I forget what this is, but like a little rotating repair center thing or something. This has a lot more storage for cars on the support beams for the set too. So they really started doing that in more recent sets too. Just, wherever they need a support beam, just make it a place to store a bunch of cars, which is pretty efficient and pretty cool, honestly. Because a lot of, these sets are really designed to be put together one time and not really disassembled, which is good and bad because, it's good because they can make the sets really sturdy. The only thing that's a downfall of that is storage, because these are such big and cumbersome sets that take up so much room that you can't take them apart for, storage in a smaller container or something like that very easily without, potentially damaging a part, or at the very least it just being very tedious to do. So at least they are smart with that, and knowing that these are going to be more or less permanent fixtures in like a kid's bedroom, let's say, or something, and they're going to take up a lot of space. Well, you can store all your cars right on the set, and that's pretty efficient. So there's that. This set was over 3 feet tall. It came with an airplane here and everything. This particular version here actually has a little additional feature on it, which is this little pterodactyl area over here. Not all of the Super Ultimate Garage sets had this. This, I believe, was a Walmart exclusive to have this little extra part here. So I originally, basically same story as the Ultimate Garage. I did a review and unboxing of the Super Ultimate Garage. It was more like a demonstration, I guess, back in the day. And that version that I had did not have this extra little feature here. So anyways, that's, and I'm going to have to double check on the years. The original version might have come out in 2016, and then this next one came out in 2017. I can't remember, but I know that this was the next one after the Ultimate Garage. So in any case, yeah, that's all just to say that this is another huge garage set. And this is the biggest one. There have not been any larger ones from Hot Wheels than this. But yeah, this is, and I don't know, it'd probably be kind of tricky for them to make one even bigger than this, because this is already, the packaging style that they have this in is like, it's basically in a shipping box already. It's that big. So, yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say about this one. Yeah, not too much, except that this is the new biggest one with a copyright of 2017. So let's see what came after this. Okay, folks, well, we had the original Ultimate Garage from 2015. Well, what came after that? And of course, after the Super Ultimate Garage, but they released another rendition of the Ultimate Garage, and as you can see, it's the same exact dimensions of the box, and but it's a completely different set. So here's just a quick look at what the front of this box looked like. And if you turn this box around, you can kind of see a little bit better what it's all about. So this one, it's a little bit different, a little bit more kind of unique, I guess, and a little bit more action focused, which isn't actually a terrible thing, but certainly something a little different. It's got like I think this was a 2-lane automatic elevator that brings you to the top. Then you kind of come down here, go over a jump, spiral back around, and then there's like a 2-lane launcher here, and you go through this loop. And there's like a shark you can avoid and all that kind of stuff. And then it kind of brings you back down to the bottom here. So this one you can call an Ultimate Garage. It's also kind of an action-ish set, but I still really like it. It does have room for parking on all the different levels, just less so because this, this loop takes up a lot of space. On the top there was a big place to park your cars though, and then of course a lot of room to store cars on the support beams for the set. The bottom had all kinds of places to drive your cars, little roadways, a little gas station, gas pumps, those kinds of things. So things that I like to see on a garage set. But yeah, this one actually came out the year after the Super Ultimate Garage. So something that was a little bit more affordable. You know, this would have been probably on the high end, about $100 again. And then of course it went on sale and could be found cheaper than that. So after this second Ultimate Garage came out, I'm sure you'll be shocked to find that what came out after that in 2020 was another Ultimate Garage. Go figure. So this particular Ultimate Garage I haven't actually opened up yet, so I'm excited to check this one out. But yeah, this one, this one is City versus Robo Beasts. So this one definitely does have a monster theme to it. And it'll be interesting to see just how much of the set is kind of focused around the big dinosaur here versus the parking garage aspect. But it looks like kind of half and half, or maybe a little more towards the, the Robo Beast portion of the set. But it kind of follows somewhat of a similar design. It's a big garage set, and it's got parking on the top here. It's got parking on some of the sides. It looks like it has an elevator to bring you kind of to the top, and you kind of spiral around and avoid the big dinosaur. And then on the bottom, it's got some, places to drive your cars, got gas pumps, got a little car wash. So, a lot of similar themes, but just a completely different design. And no complaints at all. It's just kind of funny that they just kind of kept with the Ultimate Garage naming, every few years releasing a new rendition of it. So that was the third one. And maybe I'll show you real quickly the back of the box on this one as well. And it does have sort of a thumbnail that gives you kind of a different image of what the set actually looks like. It kind of looks like that dinosaur takes up a little less room than it kind of shows on the artwork portion of it here. This is really kind of embellished to highlight the dinosaur there. But yeah, so anyways, there's what the actual set looks like. But yeah, the big feature of this is just the spiral that goes around the whole thing. That seems to be kind of the big thing about it. And then trying to avoid getting attacked by the dinosaur as you cross over some of these jumps. But anyways, that was the 2020 Ultimate Garage. And then after the 2020 Ultimate Garage, well, what do you think came out next? Indeed, a fourth rendition of an Ultimate Garage. So the dimensions of this one are actually the same as those other ones, except they oriented this one vertically, and it's already in this kind of shipping sort of box. So I'm not going to show you the back, because only the front has full color, but This one also had a shipping label on it as I ordered this online. But this one, again, has many similar themes as the other ones. It's got an elevator to bring it to the top, and this one actually includes a launcher on the elevator, so you launch the cars on each of the different levels for a different stunt. On top, it looks like you've got a jump to, you know, attack the dragon and maybe avoid getting caught or try to get caught or something. The third floor has a loop, double loop. Second floor, I'm not exactly sure what this is, like just a little drag strip or something, raceway. And then, and then the bottom has a lot of the stuff that you kind of would expect. Gas pumps, car wash, all the, kind of the works there. And of course we got a spiral ramp to bring you down to the bottom. So this is another one I have not checked out yet, but I'm excited to see what it's all about. All these Ultimate Garages that came out after the original, at least for me, I'm guessing that I'm probably not going to like as much as the original because, they all have a little bit more of a focus on the monster sort of thing, which is not really my personal thing. But, still a lot of cool elements of just a regular parking garage, places to park your cars and all that kind of stuff. Little places to drive your cars, especially on the bottom level and everything. And then here's a thumbnail of what it looks like, 3 feet plus tall. So yeah, just another big Ultimate Garage set there. Now the story doesn't end with the Ultimate Garages because in addition to the Ultimate Garages and the Super Ultimate Garage, Hot Wheels did make some slightly more affordable and smaller, kind of sets that fall within the same realm of, styling. This one right here is called the Mega Garage, and this one is kind of a little bit of an oddball because it really doesn't look a lot like the rest. But I like it just because it's unique in its own way, but you can tell that it's definitely at least influenced by the original. It's got this kind of down arrow kind of sign here that says Mega Garage, and so you can tell that it's at least partially inspired by that. But this one, let's see, so this one has a lot of, places to park your cars along the bottom, little repair bays for your cars, but the unique thing about it is the garage part of it is it operates by rotating this crank here, and each of these little pods holds 2 cars, and then you can launch them with this button here. So you just spin this around, drive the cars in there, and so that's a unique thing about that. And then of course you launch down, you've got this double jump here into oblivion, or you can take this off and attach some straight track there if you want to do that. And so this would have retailed for about $50 or so, and there have been more of these as well, which I'll show you next. So the next Mega Garage that came out was new for 2021, and this one I actually really like because this one is more like a classic garage style set. There's no monster themes on this one at all, and again, this one would have retailed, and I think this is actually still kind of available as of 2025. I don't know if it's just like new old stock in a few places, but I think this one can still be found, although it's probably getting a little bit more rare. But this one I like because it is, like I said, it's just like a regular garage, more or less. You've got this elevator in the middle, spiral elevator to bring all the cars to the top. Then you've got a spiral ramp that brings them all down. Storage for cars on each of the support beams and on each level itself. So just that's the whole theme of this, is parking your cars and going up and coming down, that sort of thing. So a classic garage in that respect. A few kind of more modern bells and whistles a little bit, but this one is kind of one of my favorites, I gotta say. On the bottom, not a ton of extra driving area, but it's got a little repair bay for your cars and that kind of stuff. So this one's pretty cool. And again, this one would have retailed and or still does for about $50, maybe $60, depending on which store you buy it at. Now this next one, which kind of falls into the same kind of size and pricing category, is new for 2025. And ironically, even though this is the newest one, I can't find the box for it, but I've already opened this one. This is the Mega Loop Garage. And this one is, it's a classic garage in that it's got 3 levels to park your cars. You can drive along the bottom. Sure enough, it's got a car wash, but this one features the double loop thing, which is pretty cool. And since I've got it on display here, I may as well demonstrate the loop real quick. So here we go. And it actually works really good. The car goes super fast, so it has this thing here to kind of stop the car once it gets up here. It's got a nice working elevator. You can park your cars on any of these 5 levels here. 2 of them are just kind of intermediary parking spots, but the other ones bring you to the main levels. But yeah, another version for 2025, and interestingly for 2025, I haven't seen any larger new ones other than this one, so I don't know if, there might be another one yet to come, or maybe next year, or maybe they're done with the trend, I don't know, but in any case, this is the new one for 2025. So some of the ones I just showed you were kind of around a $50, maybe $60 price point, but there were even a couple sets that were released that kind of follow that similar kind of garage design that were even smaller than that. So this would probably be in the, I don't know, $20, $30 price point, somewhere in there. This one is called the Stunt Garage, released in 2020. It's got the City versus Robo Beasts logo there, but there are no beasts of any sort on this particular set, and thank goodness, at least for me personally, just because it's not my thing. But yeah, this is more like a more or less classic type garage. I'll turn this around so you can kind of see the picture on the back, but it's got, sure enough, an elevator to bring you to the top, places to park your cars on each floor, spiral all the way to the bottom, and then you got a gas pump on the bottom, and a little places to drive your car. So this is basically a mini ultimate garage, if you will, the Stunt Garage. And I like this one. This is a nice little version of that, much more affordable, and it's got a lot of the main themes that the larger sets have, without too many frills and thrills. The next one I'll show you here is not technically labeled as a garage. It's the Transforming Race Tower, but again, it's a very similar type of set. This one is very unique because you can play with it as this double raceway, or you can flip one side up and it becomes a bigger tower. So let me just show you what we've got here. And the similarities are pretty evident. You've got this double elevator to bring cars to the top. At least on the one side, you've got a couple levels where you can park some cars. So this is definitely a parking garage on this side. And then on the bottom, yeah, you can drive your cars around here. And same on the left side too. Just a little kind of circle area to drive some cars around. And it's got a little finish line flag on the bottom. Let me just push this button so we can drop this car down this one. But this one flips up, and let me just demonstrate that real quick, because why not? It's cool. And this should lock into place. I think I gotta go like that. Locks into place, and now it is an even taller garage, and on top it does even have, a little place to park your car up there. But you're spiraling all the way to the bottom now, so now it makes it a very tall set. Let's just try that real quick. And that works really well. So yeah, this is a pretty unique set too, and even though it's not technically called a garage, it basically kind of is, and certainly fits within the collection. And this one was a more affordable one too. Probably somewhere in between that Stunt Garage and then the next level up. Mega Garage is around $50, $60. I think this was about, what was it, maybe $30 to $40? I can't remember, but somewhere in there. The next garage type set I'll show you, and this one is kind of a misfit amongst, what I'm showing you in this video, but this is the Hot Wheels Stow and Go set. And this one is kind of a different thing because it's really more a recreation of the older Stow and Go sets from, I think they were in the 80s that these were released originally, and you can see the old school type of package art that they were going with on this one. This was the first of these to be released. I might have to make a separate video just talking about these Stow and Goes, because there have been 4 newer versions of this exact set released after this. So the reason I say that this is a misfit is because it's not, necessarily like a parking garage playset per se, But just the fact that it is at least kind of related. This was a Target exclusive, by the way, too. You know, I just figured I'd show it because these, you know, just the fact that the Ultimate Garages are popular. They've been releasing other garage-like different play sets and things, which I think is really cool. This one, I'm really happy that they released this one. I do wish that they would make maybe some more variations of it, actually, because there were more variations of these old Stow and Goes, but that's kind of a topic for another video. But I just wanted to show you that quick. And along the same lines of the Hot Wheels Stow and Go that I showed you, Matchbox has been releasing some garage-type playsets as well. None as big as any of the Ultimate Garages or anything, but in the same vein as the Stow and Go, this one is the Super Service Center, a garage-type set, and this is basically a recreation of an old, I think, 80s set that I also have. That basically looked pretty much identical to this, so it's basically a modern take on that. Target exclusive again, and this one has an elevator that brings you to the top. You got some service areas up here, a few parking spots, then you race down to the bottom. It's got a gas station on the bottom, a car wash, all the classic garage type things. This was a pretty affordable set too. I think it was, oh, I don't know, somewhere between $20 and $40, pretty affordable, and well worth the money because I really like this particular set. And then I got a couple other Matchbox parking garages to show you guys. So this is a smaller one here. This one is just a simple, you know, 2-story or 3-story if you count the ground level garage. And this is, it's got a little working elevator. And this one's kind of cool because it has some little electronics going on with it. But yeah, very, very simple. You know, this was a very affordable one, but just a classic garage, which is really cool. And there was a look at that one, and then they released a kind of a bigger version that's more of a construction theme, but it shares many similarities to this one. Elevator to the top, parking garages. It's parking garage here. It's got ramps to bring you down and all that stuff, but then it's also got this giant crane on top and then this little construction area over here. So kind of a little different theme with this in its own unique way, but again, just another kind of classic garage style set. And then one last one to show you from Matchbox, and this is from their Action Drivers collection of sets, so it's kind of this kind of style of just sets that they make that all kind of connect together in this style. And these are compatible with some of the Hot Wheels as well. You can see like these connection types, even just comparing to this Ultimate Garage, they, I think they're kind of compatible. But anyways, yeah, this one is a bit of a stretch to be called a garage. This is the transportation hub, but it sure enough shares many striking similarities. You've got an elevator that brings you up to the top here. There aren't really any parking places per se, except for one up on top here next to the helipad, but you've got a spiraling ramp down to the bottom. And if you push this, releases the car. So that's kind of a look at some of the Matchbox garage style sets that have been out there. Again, none as big as any of the Mega or Ultimate garages from Hot Wheels, but still some neat little designs of their own. And now we have to talk about some of the sort of off-brand type of sets that came about as a response that I would say pretty clearly from the original Ultimate Garage. This one is called the Ultimate Shark City Garage from the Adventure Force sets that were sold at Walmart. So this one has a copyright of 2019, so it came out a few years after that original Ultimate Garage from Hot Wheels came out. But the influence is so obvious on this one, it is clear as day. You got the spiral ramp kind of on the left here that goes into a shark, like it's exact. And then you got a central playset area here. This is a design that is unique in its own right, of course, but nevertheless, you've got an elevator in the center, and then a ramp that goes down the center there. The Ultimate Garage actually didn't have anything like that. It just had 4 different levels, but and then this has like a car wash up here, little gas pumps here, little repair bay there. You can drive around on the bottom here. And then just like the Ultimate Garage, it's got a 2-lane raceway on the other side. So it's literally, it's so obvious. It's not even funny how this was influenced by the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage. This was actually not the first of these. There was also a Ultimate, I think it was Dino City Garage or something like that. I think I have a video of that, perhaps. But this was like a slightly newer redesign of it, as a shark, basically. And the only major difference is that this one has a shark theme versus a dinosaur theme. And then the color scheme of the tracks and things is a little bit different on this one as well. So, but otherwise it's an identical playset. So this one was pretty cool though, because it works pretty well. Maybe not quite as well as the Ultimate Garage, but it works pretty well, and it was more affordable. So this was about $50, I believe. And the size of this box is maybe just a tiny bit smaller than the Ultimate Garage. You can see one in the back there. It's a little bit taller, a little bit wider, but this is still a very large box and a very large set inside. And for $50, pretty good deal, honestly. So then we got to move this one off to the side because there was yet another one. And I said that the other one was called Dino City Garage. I wasn't referring to this one. This is one that came in, I think, 2021 after that one. The first Dino type garage, and then after the Shark City Garage. So I can't remember what that the first Dino one was called, but I wasn't referring to this one. This is one that came after. And this is another new redesign. And this box is actually a little bit thicker than the other one, but I think the price was about the same, about $50. Maybe it was 60, I can't remember. But in any case, it was affordable. And yeah, this one actually I think takes more influence from some other kind of more off-brand type sets. I've seen a design very similar to this in, oh, what would it be, like a Fast Lane set or Dicky Toys type garage out there. And, you know, that's got an elevator here, and it's got a ramp that goes all the way down around the garage, but then like another loop off to the right side. So that's taking more influence from that. But nevertheless, it's a garage type set. And, you know, this one, it's just a little bit more unique, this one, I think. This is kind of interesting. I haven't actually opened this one up to check it out. But this one's got like a train that goes along the bottom. And, well, it's got a dinosaur theme there. But otherwise, it's got a lot of places to park your cars. So I'm actually really excited to check this one out. And I think the elevator is actually, it is a motorized elevator, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that was another garage set released after the Ultimate Garage, and at least partially influenced by it. And then places like Walmart also had a few more affordable garage type sets as well. This is, I forget what side brand this one was called. I don't think this was Adventure Force like the other ones, but this one, yeah, this one is kind of different, has a little bit of a different feel to it, but still kind of a classic design. This one and this one are basically, they didn't even come in boxes. They basically came like this with just a tag on them. This one I haven't actually opened up or unboxed. So this is more like what this looked like before I opened it up and made a mess of it a little bit. But let me show you this one first. I mean, this is kind of like that Hot Wheels, the smaller stunt garage in some ways. Got an elevator on the side, some parking areas, and then this one actually has a big gravity drop right there. And then down here got a little gas and repair areas. So I think this one was $20, and then this one might have been like $25 or something, and this one is the Take and Play Garage. And I don't think that the batteries are working in this because this has been in storage for a while, but this has a motorized parking garage, or elevator in this parking garage, which is really cool. So this is just a smaller, more affordable garage, and this one's got some ramps on the back and stuff, so this one will be interesting to check out. I'm kind of intrigued by it. So continuing on with some of these quote-unquote off-brand sets, this one is a Maisto, I've never known how to say that properly, but this is the Megatropolis Mega Playset. This one I got at Sam's Club when it was available around the holidays. I don't know, was it a couple years ago for about $40? But this one you can see has some influences from other play sets, whether you want to call it the Ultimate Garage or other things. It's got a shark here, you know, drop down into the shark. This one has a double drop into a double loop, which is unique. But otherwise, it's got, you know, it looks like it should have an elevator that brings you up to the top. And then basically ramps to bring you down. You got some parking areas on each floor. So very classic type of a garage. This one has a little bit more action type things associated with it than some of the others anyways. But anyways, there's another example of another garage. And this one, by the way, had a copyright of 2019. Okay, and then here was another large garage set that follows with the similar themes that the Hot Wheels ones had, and also has some similarities to that Ultimate Dino City garage from Adventure Force. That being that it has like this train that goes around. I don't know which influenced which with that, but in any case, this is from, I think, at the earliest 2018, maybe somewhere 2019, 2020 that this came out. So after the first Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage, and definitely, I'm sure it had some influence in it. This one is, it seems like it's a little bit larger. The price was a little bit more. I think it was between 100 and 150, somewhere in there. But it follows a lot of the similar themes of the Ultimate Garage sets, but it is unique in its own right as well. So these majorette cars, I don't have much experience with them, but they seem like they're very high quality actually. So I'm pretty excited to open this one up, but let's just take a look at the box. So this one's got the spiral elevator like the Super Ultimate Garage has. You got plenty of parking places, so that's cool. You got a spiral ramp on the left. That's very reminiscent of the Ultimate Garage. And then on the right, well, here's where it's kind of got its own thing going on. It's got more spiral ramps, but has more of like a fire, police, rescue sort of theme going on over here. It's got like this little escalator type thing going on. So it's got some unique features over here that I really haven't seen on any other Ultimate Garage type sets. But you know, clearly a very similar sized, big, huge set, and very, very obviously influenced by earlier ones, but it's unique in its own right, and this one I'm pretty excited to check out. And then here's another one that I came across of a different brand that I just couldn't pass up. This one is called Mega Universe, and this one says it's the world's largest electronic parking garage. And let me tell you, so this box isn't quite as tall as some of the other ones, but it is very, very thick. This is it's very heavy, and it's a cumbersome big box. So the claim that it's the world's... See, it's not claiming that it's the largest parking garage, but it is claiming to be the largest electronic parking garage. So maybe it is. If it's not, I don't know, but it's very large in any case. So... let's just take a look at what this one is like. Sure enough, you got your elevator kind of in the center. You've got, this one's got like a raceway that goes all the way down, but you got parking places on each floor, and then on each side you've got some spiral ramps and things like that. You've got a launcher into a loop here that sends you through. You got a police station here. You got a little car service station here. Places to drive around down here as well. So just another big garage set that is probably at least partially inspired by some of the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garages in some way or form. And then this one, by the way, I think has a copyright of around 2022, so several years after the first Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage and after, you know, subsequent Ultimate Garages and different kinds of garages from all kinds of different brands. So definitely influenced by some of those. Alright folks, so I want to end this video by showing you this fast lane parking garage. This one I picked up at a Toys R Us in the United States kind of shortly before they closed, and this one has a copyright of 2017 on it. But the reason I wanted to show you this is because even though this one has a copyright of 2017, the design of this playset has been around for many years before that, and before 2015 when that original Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage was released. This design, exactly, and similar type of garage designs. Because really prior to that Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage, I think some of the best garages, you know, kind of after, say, the Hot Wheels Super Electronic Garage from the 90s. I know that there was a city center within the Hot Wheels world that was kind of similar in size to that one. But then after that, you know, Hot Wheels really didn't focus too much on some of these larger garage style sets. There was really kind of a drought in those type of sets from like Hot Wheels and, you know, some of the bigger companies like that. But some of these other brands that were a little bit more affordable, they were still making some of these really cool garage sets. And this design and others like it is an example of that. And this one has an elevator that goes up. It's got multiple levels to park your cars. It's got ramps that kind of spiral down. It's got all those classic things that make up a what I would consider a pretty good garage set for die-cast cars. So I guess the whole point of saying that is not to give all credit necessarily to Hot Wheels for that Ultimate Garage release in 2015, because the Ultimate Garage probably took influence from a lot of these kinds of sets. So it's important to give some credit there where it's due, because, you know, it wasn't like Hot Wheels completely reinvented the wheel with garage sets in general, because they had been around before and in stores. Now I just realized maybe I should bring up the Ultimate Garage here to end the video too. But this Ultimate Garage, really, I mean, essentially what I would kind of consider it is, you know, yes, there had been some really cool garage sets out before this, but this really took it to a whole next level in 2015. And it really changed the way that garage sets have been going ever since then for the past 10 years. And there have been, like I just showed you, different versions of the Ultimate Garage, and just all kinds of other garage sets coming from different companies in general, whether it's Matchbox or Adventure Force or Majorette, or, you know, all kinds of different ones. And I haven't even shown you all the ones that are out there. There's probably a lot more that are, you know, at least have some similarities to this. But in any case, I just wanted to make this video because, well, I really like these garage type sets. They're among my favorite things to collect for die-cast cars. And, you know, I grew up with garage type play sets and things. You know, the Hot Wheels world was my favorite of those city type, semi-realistic type of play sets, and they had some garage themed sets in there as well. Always been among my favorites, so I thought I would just make this video to talk about the Ultimate Garage and just everything that's kind of come after it, because it's been kind of some cool stuff over the past 10 or so years. I'm hoping that in the future that the whole garage theme doesn't go away, because there's nothing better than a good parking garage playset for your die-cast cars, I gotta say. So the only thing I hope is that the idea of having, you know, semi-realistic garages sticks around, and not, you know, it hopefully doesn't completely gravitate towards monster type garage sets. I really like the, you know, more realistic ones where the whole purpose of them is to store and display your cars, but then also have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of features on it as well, and preferably no monsters, but that's just me personally. Other people will probably think different than that, and that's okay too. So, anyways, that ended up being a very long video about the Hot Wheels Ultimate Garage and all kinds of other garages, so I think it's a good place to end here. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day.